All righty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 150 of Roundabout Sports, the big 150, presented by Harsh Construction LLC and Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. Thank you so much, folks. It is a cold and dreary Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. I'm the Maestro, Jerry Carpenter. Alongside me is the man, the myth, the legend himself, the one and only AB. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I just want to say congratulations to you. I know you put a lot of work into this thing, over 150 episodes, and I know that I've been a very small part of it, and I'm glad to be here and to be celebrating with you and ready to talk about some sports, man. That's what we do here.
I am extremely excited for this episode because some of the biggest, since last week's show, some of the biggest things have happened in the sports world. The World Series is kicked off, and I'm a little tired still from that 18-inning thriller. I'm going to tell you that right now. When I say that was exhausting to watch all the way through, absolutely got me tired still to think about. So with all of that said, folks, let's go through just our usual spiel to kick off the show because why not? It's fun. So Roundabout Sports can be found on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and all other streaming platforms. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, myself on X, and the Interstate 70 Sports Media YouTube channel, where you will find the Blues Fan Forum podcast, the Redbird Rundown podcast, Issues with Wrestling, the main event with Austin and Babs, the Elite Sports Show, and we are working on getting a couple other shows added onto the network as well. So be sure to check us out. As well as a bunch of other fun exclusive videos on the channel also. With all that said, okay, we're going to have to definitely start with what happened last week with I can't believe this still happened with the NBA gambling scandal. And this absolutely blew my mind when I found out about it. So for those of you that might not know exactly what happened, Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and former Cavaliers player and assistant coach Damon Jones were arrested in part of a pair of investigations relating to illegal sports betting and rigged poker games. Now, this is the kicker, and AB knows about this, but this is the kicker of the whole thing. It literally had ties to the mafia. Like the whole, like Chauncey Billups, for example, his whole thing was getting people into these poker games and kind of screw them out of money. Some of these tables had transparent x-ray machines so you could see the face down cards, contact lenses. There was stuff straight out of James Bond movies that these guys had in order to rig people out of hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars. And Billups and Rozier have both been placed on leave from their teams, the NBA announced. But this was a years-long investigation. This covered 11 states, and it involved tens of millions of dollars. And FBI Director Kash Patel made it clear, saying how it's mind-boggling how much fraud was involved in all of this. And 34 people were arrested in ties to everything that we're going to be talking about to the scandal. And the first thing that comes to mind is, you're making tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars,
Right.
And you still got to go out and illegally gamble? Like, what? And you have to be involved with the mafia too? Come on, AB. What is this all about? Seriously.
Okay, so I think for starters, I want to say this to start off. I don't want to comment on the poker and all of that. I don't know anything about that kind of gambling. I just don't. So I don't want to comment on that. I'm going to leave that to the folks that do those things and do those activities. No judgment here. That's just not something that I do. I have been known to place a sports bet. I don't believe there's I don't believe there's anything wrong with it as far as it harming other people. And I'm going to leave my personal beliefs about it there. I'll say this. I don't understand it. I don't understand, first of all, the lack of human integrity that it takes to, because here's the deal. And MLB's dealing with this right now with one of their best closing pitchers as well, the sports gambling, Emmanuel Clase. I read a thing the other day that Hector Gomez put out that Clase might not play another game in forever in the Major League Baseball. Listen, you have, what I would say to the players is you have, like you said, millions of dollars. You have money that people dream of having, right? Don't be greedy. And not only that, not only should you not be greedy just as a human being, for a guy like Terry Rozier, who before this, Jeremy, was very respected. He was not he wasn't a superstar. He wasn't an all NBA guy. He wasn't an all-star, but he was a guy that you knew, man, he was going to play his tail off. He was almost like a Mr. Reliable kind of player. And now, in my opinion, that's tainted forever. You can go back and you can see things. And that's what's disheartening to me about all of this is how when we're watching sports as a fan, we're not looking for that stuff. But then the curtain gets peeled back on something like this, right? And now you can go back, and every time he misses a shot, you think, did he miss that on purpose?
Yeah.
Did he choke that away? Did he do it on purpose? It's unfortunate. Again, I'm not going to comment on the poker crap. That's just insane, and it's way over my head. But the sports gambling, whenever I go place a bet, when I get on my phone and I go place a bet on FanDuel, or I guess not FanDuel because we live in Missouri, but Underdog or Prize Picks or Fliff, that's not harming anybody else, Jeremy.
No.
That's just, the only thing is if I don't win, it harms my wallet, right?
And that's gambling for you.
But whenever you're doing things that harm other people, and especially when you're betting on something that you can control, there's a reason that's illegal. It lacks integrity, and it's icky to me. I believe that if they're found guilty, I think that they should all three be banned from the league in any capacity. Plain and simple. Forever. Banned forever. Not banned for a certain amount of years. If they're found guilty, they should be kicked out of the league and removed forever. Blackballed from the NBA. And I'll say this while we're talking about gambling, if Emmanuel Clase is found guilty, I don't care how good of a pitcher he is, ban him forever too.
Well, and I get that because, I mean, come on, if you can ban the all-time hits king for placing bets, why wouldn't you ban Clase, for example? Here's my thing with the whole, and the reason only reason I'm commenting really on a lot of the poker aspects is because I was doing a lot of research into what it pertained to, and the fact that there, you always hear the cliche of the 5 families in New York with the New York Mafia. Well, 4 of them apparently were involved in this big gambling ring. Now, a lot of people bring to the attention of the fact that sports betting is illegal anyway, but my stance on this. This is the thing. If somebody wants to go out there and lose money on making a bet or something, that's on them. I don't think I should be the reason somebody stops. It's their decision. But my thing is, I don't think legalizing sports betting has solved any problems. I think it had just exposed all the current problems that were already out there. It just publicized them more. That, to me, is what this has done. because if you're able to legally gamble on sports and place bets, you should not have to go in ties with the mafia to rig poker games to make more money. You should not have to place. And the big thing, you're talking about Terry Rozier and looking back on his bad performances and see if he was honest about that and whatnot. That, what brings that exactly into question was one of the notable things in the whole scandal is there was evidence proven that Terry Rozier took himself out of a game by faking an injury and had prior to that game let bettors know to take the under on his performance. That if that is not as blatant and rigged as as possible, come on now. You talk about wanting to have a player banned for something. That right there to me is a banned offense. That, because that is not just placing a bet on a game. This is my thing. If you're placing $20,000 on the Celtics to beat the Lakers or something, okay, I know I know athletes involved in the sports have different rules than us as just citizens when it comes to gambling and betting. I get that. But not only are you gambling, but you're deliberately influencing the events of games and with all of this. And to me, that's the biggest issue of all of it. I don't want to say overlook the whole thing with the mafia ties and the poker and the x-ray machines and everything. Because obviously Chauncey Billups being a Hall of Famer, a basketball legend, this is something he has no business even involving himself in. But for Terry Rozier, for example, and this will open up the inquiry on if any other athletes have done this, to deliberately fake an injury and tell bettors to place the under beforehand, saying, hey, we're playing the Bucks, for example. I'm going to get hurt in the third quarter and take myself out, so I'm not going to do well that game. Well, of course, you're going to make a buttload of money, and these guys are going to get cuts of the money as well for their part in it. So, no, I agree with you. I think if above all else, at the bare minimum, it's a disgrace to the game. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I think the gambling rules need to be tightened up. Anyway, I think that it's really confusing that you can't. I mean, until December 1st, of course, you can't bet in the state of Missouri. But if I drive to St. Louis and drive across the state line, I can place a bet and then go back into Missouri and collect the money if I win it. And Jeremy, there are people that do that. I guarantee you there are people in St. Louis that drive across the state line to Illinois, place a bet, and go home.
Yeah, they do. But but you know what? To me, that also is a Missouri problem. Because guess what? People do the same exact thing in Kansas. People will drive from Missouri, out in Kansas City, I should say. They'll drive from Kansas City to Kansas, place those same bets, and come back to collect. And that's why that's why in the last electoral thing, the legalizing of sports gambling was passed, because look, why let the other states get all this money? But once again, all the problems and the corruption that is involved in gambling has been exposed, and it's not just everyday citizens. This is professional athletes that kids, mind you, look up to.
Right.
That is, to me, another big thing of all of this, is that kids look up to these players. And I mean, it's unbelievable, because this has been starting since 2023, apparently. Apparently, the FBI was suspecting activity of this nature since 2023. Right. And so, yeah, the prosecutions were made public after these guys were arrested. But there were so many different schemes and people involved. Now, here's my question for you. we pretty much already are made aware of Terry Rozier's guilt and Chauncey Billups' guilt and Damon Jones. Let's not forget Damon Jones. 4 different teams at least have been investigated. My question to you is,
which teams those are.
So if I can remember off the top of my head, it was the Heat, the Trailblazers, the Raptors, and the Hornets.
I thought the Hornets were one of them, yeah.
Yeah, the Hornets were one of them. And my thing is, obviously, this is probably going to open up some independent investigation by the NBA themselves. And I'm wondering, if I'm Adam Silver, and if you're Adam Silver, for example, what do? Your whole sport's integrity just got rocked. How do you react?
Yeah, I mean, you have to outlaw, in my opinion, gambling. Period. Sports gambling. Period. Not and I mean, you can't bet on baseball. You can't bet on football. You sure as heck cannot bet on basketball of any level. Soccer, it doesn't matter. You cannot. If you're going to be an NBA player, that he's got to put something into motion where it completely eliminates active NBA players or active NBA coaches, executives, front offices, everybody involved in the NBA, starting at Adam Silver and going down to the bench boys and going down to the water boys. They cannot gamble. If they are caught gambling, they are suspended the first time for 180 days or for a season or for 82 games or something. You get caught a second time, you're done. You have to, because you're right. He just destroyed, like Terry Rozier very possibly just destroyed the entire integrity of the NBA.
Yeah, and I look at it to where, when it comes back once again to the Chauncey Billups, for example, his ties with the 5 families in New York, these players, these gamblers get lured into playing these high stakes games, unaware these are rigged. These are extremely rigged with different schemes, and we've already kind of talked about that a little bit. But one person lost up to $2 million in one of these rigged games. And if the players involved refuse to pay their losses, of course, you're trying to refuse payment from the 5 families. Like, you're getting death threats. You're going to be getting a lot of issues, like a lot of heat.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I don't feel comfortable talking about the mafia on a live platform. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah. So, no, I get it. It's just crazy how all this has developed. And kudos to all of those involved at the FBI and all the local and national law enforcement who made these arrests and put these charges to light. Now, my thing is, it's been 6 days since it happened. It's been 6 days since this scandal officially came out. And it is still sending shockwaves through the world of sports. And now it's like, and we remember we had talked about, you had mentioned what you would do as far as like if you were Adam Silver and everything. Well, excuse me. The NBA did send a memo to the teams reviewing injury reporting policies. That's another thing. So Rozier informed the defendant that he was going to, quote, voluntarily, prematurely remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury and not return to play further. Rozier placed this information to Laster for the purpose of enabling Laster to place wagers based on this information. Now, this is the thing. They call it a supposed injury He did miss game times, like the remaining 8 games of that season in 2023 because of a foot injury. But my whole thing is, you question the integrity of it when you know that he's telling people, "Hey, I'm taking myself out of this game." Go ahead and place a few bets here and there. So I think definitely there is a lot of controversy and it's only going to get bigger, honestly, AB. It really, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, there's going to be more information come out.
Now, here's what I want to ask you. Do you think where does this lie with? Okay, I mean, baseball and gambling have been hand in hand for the longest time. What about football? What about hockey? Even soccer? You mentioned it yourself, like about now. It doesn't just bring up the integrity of basketball. Now it's questioning all the other sports.
See, I actually kind of disagree. I think that now if there were other players from other sports involved, I mean, does it make you think about it? Maybe, but I think to accuse the NFL for the transgressions of the NBA is unfair. Now the NFL can. I wouldn't be upset if the NFL took precaution and used it as a learning example. But I think as a fan, it's wrong to hold a league accountable based on something that another league did. That's just my opinion on it. Now, who knows? Who knows what this could lead to if we find out that Travis Kelce he's involved in it too. Maybe then we have that conversation. But I don't know. I don't like. To me, when it comes to legal matters of any kind, but especially on this, like I don't like to speculate too much on especially like other leagues and things like that. I think if the NFL is involved in any way, or if the NFL has something like this going on, I think it will eventually come out. But until then, I just think it's wrong to, like I said, I think it's wrong to be accusatory of one league based on another's actions.
I get the fact. I'm not blatantly saying that these sports leagues are guilty of it. I do think that you can inquire and become curious of the prevalence of it in other leagues because, I mean, sports betting is just as prevalent in football, hockey, baseball as it is in basketball. So I think a lot of questions are going to be brought up by people, even if the NFL, and I think the NFL might have, but I know other sports have in the past reiterated their gambling policies. And it all boils down to, look, if you're a player, you can't bet. That's just all it is. But yet you can't even follow that,
Right.
So definitely the big story heading out. And moving right along, though, here on the episode 150 of Roundabout Sports. So I wanted to say this. Speaking of gambling, how about them Dodgers? No. Okay. On the real note, AB, what are your thoughts on this World Series so far? As of this date, as Game 5 is drawing near, we are all tied up at 2 apiece between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers.
Yeah, very, very impressive series so far. I'll say this about that. We had the 18-inning game, and everybody's freaking out about that and all of that. I mean, it was a classic game. We know that. I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. And it wasn't that I didn't stay up to watch it. I just didn't watch it. I had other things going on Monday evening on the night of the game. So that's just me being transparent with everybody. I am going to watch tonight whenever we get through here. So I'm excited for that. Hey, I think the Blue Jays have hung around and they've given themselves a chance to go back to Toronto and win the series at home. I'm just going to tell you, a win for the Blue Jays does more for them tonight than a win for the Dodgers does, if that makes sense. So, like, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays need to win tonight. The Dodgers have to, right? They have to. They cannot go down to, they cannot go back to Toronto needing to win both games to win the series. They just
yeah. Okay.
And I'm just gonna tell you, these two teams are a lot more evenly matched than people are trying to make it out to be. Alejandro Kirk has played out of his mind. Vladdy Guerrero has played out of his mind in the postseason. George Springer, he may have gotten hurt last night. I don't know for sure. He has played out of his mind until the injury. Bo Bichette has come back in the series and played well. Shane Bieber was phenomenal last night. Max Scherzer has been good. I'm telling you, like, they showed that they belong and they've showed that they can win. The Dodgers have to win tonight. They have to. They have to. If they want to win this series. Now listen, I know they're the Dodgers and anything can happen. And I don't know. I'm sure Yamamoto's going to get one more game. Is he going tonight?
No, it's not. Oh, guys, I know Savage is going for the Blue Jays. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head who the heck are the starting pitchers for tonight. Blake Snell. Snell is starting tonight for the Dodgers.
So assume it's probably going to be Snell, Glasnow on Thursday, and then Yamamoto in 7 if it goes that far. I know Yamamoto has back-to-back complete games. They've got to take advantage. They've got to get to that bullpen. We talked last week about this, Jeremy, heading into the World Series, how the Blue Jays could win it. And I said it, if they can get to that Dodger bullpen, what the Brewers couldn't do, they're going to have a chance. And they've been able to do that twice. Well, actually, they did, in fairness, in Game 3 when they went 18 innings, they were in the bullpen all right. But unfortunately, they just kind of ran out of steam. But, yeah, man, I'm just saying the Blue Jays are here. Like, they've proven they're here to stick around.
I look at how the Blue Jays have performed in equivalency to the Dodgers. I completely understand what you're saying when it comes to the Dodgers needing tonight more than the Blue Jays, because it is just like the Cardinals in 2011. They needed to win. I mean, granted, the home field advantage was different in the sense, but the ever important Game 5, you take. But in the case of the Dodgers, instead of the cities being reversed, you're going to Toronto, and they are going to be just raucous beyond belief. And you already know, to win 2 games in Toronto, and I think Glasnow will probably be Game 6, but I would, if the Blue Jays win tonight, I do think they throw multiple people in on Friday.
If the Blue Jays win tonight, I think Yamamoto probably starts Friday.
Yeah, because when your back's because look at the 18-inning game. Yamamoto almost came in a day after pitching a complete game. Yamamoto was warming up in the bullpen, and he told Dave Roberts he wanted to, and right. Dave Roberts said, "Now, a lot of people." I want to talk about Game 3 for a second because yes, I stayed up for that whole dang game. Why, I don't know, because there also came a point where I just couldn't stop watching. Come on. Why would you watch a ball game in the 14th inning and not watch it until it ends? Like, that's kind of where I was at. My thing was, there came a point where both teams were just trying to hit one out of the park and just to end the game. The difference is the Dodgers were constantly close and the Blue Jays struggled to get anybody on base. Now, of course, this is not me saying the Blue Jays were just giving up. But I also feel there came a point where they said to themselves, look, if we can just wear the Dodgers down, in this game and hold out long enough, then in a weird twist, the momentum will shift still. The adrenaline was high for the Dodgers after game 3, and they came out flat. They lost 6-2. You get a 4-run seventh for the Blue Jays, and they never. It was Ohtani's worst. Ohtani looked rough, on the mound, and a night removed from literally being intentionally walked 4 times. I look at this Blue Jays team, and they're scrappy, and I love it. I love the mixture of veterans and young guys on this team that, there's a lot of great franchise faces on it. I will say, though, as much as I hate the Dodgers, I did have it was extremely nice seeing the moment of Clayton Kershaw coming out there for probably the last time in his career, getting that big out, and Sandy Koufax, who's like an inspiration to me, in the stands watching. I thought that was cool. Just as a fan of the game,
right?
That was cool.
I will say, if the opportunity arises tonight, Kershaw will get in. If the opportunity arises, I believe that. I really do believe that.
I can see it.
But, yeah, we're going to see what happens. It's going to be fun. Either way, we're guaranteed at least a game 6. But, let's face it, we'll probably get a game 7 if we're being really honest with ourselves.
Yeah, and this is
a series worthy of a game 7.
Right. And this series has been so back and forth. Teams trading blows with each other. And you know what? I think the biggest unsung, I wouldn't say hero, but just the most underrated aspect has been the Blue Jays pitching. We talk about the Dodgers starters all the time. And why wouldn't we? They're some of the best pitchers in baseball. Yamamoto, Ohtani, freaking Blake Snell, like Glasnow. All great pitchers.
Right.
And they got a very solid bullpen as well. But when I tell you that this Blue Jays starting rotation has really come into their own, and, I do like Trey Savage is going to be the one pitching tonight, but Shane Bieber, like we were talking about yesterday, had a great game. He's 2-0 so far. Oh, excuse me. And of course Scherzer, who I'm telling you, if the Blue Jays win, he's calling it a career. I really think he's going to call it a career if the Blue Jays win the World Series, which I'll be bummed about because I freaking love Mad Max. But you know what? How would you not want to end that on top? We know Kershaw for sure is going to end his career after this series. But I've been entertained, and I want to say also one more thing. On average viewership, I think we're talking 12 million in the US, 10 million in Canada, and 7 million in Japan. On like a game average. So the viewers are there. They're in really into this series. I know a lot of people were turned off by the fact that the Dodgers are in yet again, but look, as far as I'm concerned, as a pure baseball fan, this has been a fun World Series to watch. And I'm glad I've been watching it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So, folks, as we've reached past the halfway point here on episode 150 of Roundabout Sports, I want to take a quick moment to talk about our sponsor, Harsh Construction LLC. Harsh Construction LLC has over 50 years combined experience in the landscaping and remodeling business. Be sure to call 618-363-9818. That's 618-363-9818 for a free quote today. That is Harsh Construction LLC. With all that, it is time now. Speaking of construction, it is time, and I promise I have a good segue into this. It is time for my favorite segment of every episode of Roundabout Sports. But this is going to be interesting because there's going to be an emotional twist to it. So I'm going to have mix a little comedy and emotion here. Every week over the past few weeks, I've done a segment here on Roundabout Sports called Just How Much Do the New York Jets Suck? And it's to poke fun at the New York Jets for being the worst team in the NFL. I mean, they're terrible, ranking dead last in a lot of offensive and defensive categories. But last week, something emotional happened. So Nick Mangold, an all-pro center for the New York Jets, who was drafted in the first round in the 2006 NFL draft, passed away of kidney disease at the age of 41. And it happened just hours, or I'm sorry, it happened just the day before the Jets were scheduled to play the Cincinnati Bengals. This was a very emotional time for so many people who grew up watching him. Of course, he was known for his durability, and he played, almost 300 minutes of game action in many seasons in college. And he was considered the top center available in the 2006 draft. So with all of that, the Jets went out there, and when I tell you, they definitely shocked the world. They headed into the fourth quarter against the Bengals. They were down 31-16. They scored 23 points in the fourth quarter to beat the Bengals 39-38. And as much as, once again, I like teasing the Jets and how bad the team is, I also want to say this has come at the time when owner Woody Johnson publicly called out quarterback Justin Fields for what I consider no reason. And Justin Fields went out and played his heart out. So kudos to the New York Jets for this emotional, wonderful victory. They're now 1-7 on the season. So they can relish in this moment. This was a fantastic win for them. But next week, it's back to business. So that is our.
I would like to comment on that if you don't care.
I don't care at all. Go right ahead, buddy.
I do want to say I make a lot of jokes and things. I'm a Michigan fan, and obviously the Bengals played for Ohio State. I make a lot of jokes about Michigan and Ohio State, the rivalry, the Panther. I want to say, though, more important than anything else, we're all human beings. And I know that as an Ohio State fan, their hearts were crushed too. I've seen a lot of posts about it on my Twitter feed. I want to say that my hearts go out to you guys. As a fan base, I know that, we're a lot of fan base. It kind of reminds me of a couple years ago whenever Dwayne Haskins passed away, and which was horrible thing as well. And I can't imagine. I know as a Michigan fan, there are certain guys. There are certain any of them would make me sad. There are certain something happened to them. It would really bother me, and I just want to say that my heart over anything else. Over anything else, my heart goes out to them, to the fans of Ohio State, to the fans of the New York Jets, to the fans of, or not to the fans, sorry, to his friends, to his family, all of that. I might cheer for the maize and blue, but there are things in life that are way more important for that than that. And I also want to say I apologize on behalf of any Michigan fans that might, or Michigan fans that may or may have not have made some really ignorant comments. And I know they're out there, and I think that that's sick and disgusting and deplorable. And I just want his family and the Buckeye fan base to know my heart goes out to you guys.
Absolutely. He will definitely be missed. I know sadly, it was on the 14th of October, just a couple weeks ago, that he was publicly asking on social media for a kidney donation. And he had announced that he had suffered from chronic kidney disease since 2006, the year he was drafted. And of course, sadly, he never could get that donation. So our thoughts definitely go out to his family, his friends, and everybody else out there that loved him. So
I would like to go ahead and give you some breaking news. The Blue Jays have jumped out 2-0 in the first inning, and they don't have an out.
Whoa!
On the Dodgers, so something to keep note of and keep track of. Sorry, not to change the subject on you too much, but
no, that's wow. Okay, then. I just got the update right here. So okay, then. Well, here we go. Blue Jays are already up 2-0 on the Dodgers. So moving on now, AB, I want to hand the floor to you because you wanted to talk a little bit about Mizzou and some of the latest goings on there in Tiger Nation.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of give everybody an update on some basketball. And sorry, you just heard my wife break our screen door. Wanted to give you an update on some Mizzou basketball. They played K-State the other night, beat them 100-91 in an exhibition game. Very, very good game, competitive game. Second half run kind of carried Mizzou. They went on a 17-4 run at one point. Anthony Robinson Jr. came in and led the team with 16 points. You've got to be excited for college basketball. We are so close. We are so close. I can taste it. We still got exhibition games going on every night. Maybe, next week, kind of when the season started, they played a game or two. I can kind of come back with a little more information. But, yeah, just kind of wanted to put you in on that. It's a game that probably played in the regular season most years. And, good performance.
I look forward to it. I enjoy college hoops, and I love this time of year because so many different sports leagues are going on at the same time.
College hoops is like my lifeblood, man. I live for that stuff.
Which is perfect. So yeah. With that, we're going to finish here on Roundabout Sports with our final big topic of the evening, and that is, of course, we are in week 9 of the NFL season. So, of course, that means the early season MVP odds are in. Of course, they have to be. Now, I feel like you and I are going to definitely have different odds on who they will be heading it up to this point. So, with that said, and of course, because we're here in Missouri, we can't see the FanDuel one, but we take a look at the odds as of today, as of yesterday, and of course, Patrick Mahomes is leading the odds. Okay. So, I don't know if you think Patrick Mahomes is the MVP favorite, but I will gladly go on and explain why I think why Patrick Mahomes to me is not the MVP of the NFL if the season ended today. But I would love to hear your thoughts first, AB.
Yeah. the Chiefs have been up and down and things like that. I don't think that Patrick Mahomes is the MVP, at least to this point. Obviously, we have the majority of the season left, right? But I'm going to be honest, and some people might hear this and shake their head or roll their eyes. If I had to pick an MVP right now, I'm picking Drake May for a quarterback for the Patriots.
Yep.
I mean, they have played really well. I know he's at plus 500 odds to win it, third best as of now. He's played really well. Of course, I think they've kind of overperformed a little bit, maybe than what we thought they were going to. I don't want to tell you wrong. He's got 2,026 pass yards. He's got 15 touchdowns. Only thrown 3 interceptions on a team that is on a team that's 6-2. That would not be 6-2 if he was not the quarterback, probably. If they had somebody lesser than him. So, I think it's Drake May. I mean, we'll see how the remainder of the season goes. But if I had to pick one today, it's Drake May. And honestly, if I had to pick a second place, it's Josh Allen. I like Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
Or 2 for me. So.
Wow. Okay, that is an interesting one. So I agree. Patrick Mahomes is not the MVP. If the season ended today, to me, Mahomes is not the MVP. Drake May would be my second choice. He would be my runner-up and almost borderline. I can gladly make the argument that he could be the MVP as well, because what he has done in his sophomore season has been phenomenal. I think the Patriots drafted Travion Henderson because they thought that he was going to be the guy they could rely on and help Drake May out with any potential sophomore slump. Well, Drake May isn't having a sophomore slump, and Henderson isn't even being played. And Stephon Diggs is having second life out there. The Patriots defense is doing really well. But to me, this is the thing. The NFL MVP award has been going to a quarterback every year since 2012 when Adrian Peterson won it. This year, if this guy keeps it up, I'm telling you right now, the MVP, I have 2. They both are the same position, and there's 2 reasons why each of them, to me, could be an MVP. Number 1 is Jonathan Taylor, of the running back of the Indianapolis Colts. Because right now, Taylor's the centerpiece of the Indianapolis Colts, who have the best record in the league, let's take a moment to wrap our heads around that. The Danny Dimes and Jonathan Taylor connection, the duo right there, has led the Colts to a 7-1 record. And the only blemish on that was a 7-point loss to the Rams with 20 seconds to go. Let's really put that in perspective, you know? Then you have that he leads the league in rushing with 850 yards. He's on pace for over 1,800 of them and 1,800 yards in 17 games. He leads all skill players with 14 total touchdowns, 12 of them rushing, which he also leads the league in, and 2 receiving. The NFL record for touchdowns in a season is 31, which was set by LT back in 2006. Guess what? LT won the MVP that year.
Right.
Jonathan Taylor's on pace for 29. I'm telling you right now, if he even gets close to that, he should win MVP.
Yeah.
And if we want to go into the next gen stats, I know sometimes it can get a little crazy, but we'll do this one for this. Jonathan Taylor entered week 8 with the NFL lead with 120 rushing yards over expected and 509 yards. This is the one that gets me. 509 yards after contact. So basically, after the first hit or the first try and wrap up or something, how many yardage you get after that? And Jonathan Taylor has 509 yards of that.
Right.
Now, To me, he's the favorite. He should be the favorite because I'm telling you right now, the Colts aren't 7-1 without him.
Right.
Now, usually winning teams are the ones that have the MVP winner. If I had to go to another team, we're going to flip it to the NFC, and I'm going to have to go running back again. I'm going to have to go Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey came into this season, believe it or not, with low expectations but high hopes because he was injury-plagued last year. The whole 49ers team was injury-riddled last year. Well, they're injury-riddled this year. Fred Warner's out for the year. Nick Bosa's out for the year. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall's been injured multiple weeks. Brandon Ayuk is still on the PUP list. But Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy has even been out these past few weeks. And despite all of that, Christian McCaffrey has been a one-man wrecking crew this season. This year, he has 490 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. But that's just on the ground. To me, it is where his receiving yards have come in that have definitely, and I have to zoom in a little bit on my glasses here to fully read this because, of course, this is how I am. This season, he has had 56 receptions for 559 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's got 6 total touchdowns, almost 1,000, if not 1,000 yards of total offense for this 49ers and keeping them alive in the NFC West. So to me, most valuable player can mean multiple things. It can mean the player with the best stats, or it can mean the player that means the most to that team. Well, to me, the 49ers don't have a win if Christian McCaffrey has been out. I think the Colts could get some wins if Jonathan Taylor was injured, but for the most part, the Colts wouldn't be 7-1 by any means. But the 49ers, I don't see them getting a victory if Christian McCaffrey's injured the way they've been injured this year, the rest of the team. So I take a look at where we are with these quarterbacks. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is in the MVP conversation. I'm not saying he's not an MVP candidate. I don't think he's the favorite.
Right.
I don't think Josh Allen's the favorite. Lamar's definitely not the favorite because he's been injured.
Right.
And Drake May is a favorite for it. But even then, the Patriots have had growing pains this season. The Indianapolis Colts are a one-man wrecking crew right now.
Right.
Like, this team is insane. I am amazed at how just dominant this Colts team. I have not seen an Indianapolis Colts team this dominant probably since 2006, 2007 with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Edgerrin James. Like, those Colts teams. So with that, that is who I think. To me, Jonathan Taylor should be the favorite. Is he? No. Will he be? No. Will he win it? Probably not. Does it suck? Yes. Because that's just kind of how the NFL is. And if that's the case, and maybe it's running back bias because I'm a fan of that position, but I thought Saquon should have won it last year. The man rushed for over 2,000 yards.
Yeah, like, I agree with that.
How does Saquon not win MVP last year? And the only reason he didn't break that record, I was going to say shatter, but I mean, he at least would have broke it, is because they kept him out of the last game. And as much as I wish they didn't, I know why they did. And it paid off because they won the Super Bowl. So overall, the NFL MVP race is already in full swing. I also did want to ask you, since the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year kind of go hand in hand at this point. Usually, whichever one doesn't win, the MVP wins the Offensive Player of the Year. I want to ask you this. Taking a look at who we have going right now, who do you think is the odds-on favorite for the Defensive Player of the Year award?
I mean, Hutchinson for the Lions is up there. He's had multiple games, multiple sacks. I know they actually extended him yesterday too. Yeah, I would say Hutchinson probably. I don't know. I mean,
so right now, if we're looking at the Defensive Player of the Year odds, once again, I got to zoom in so I can see. According to the Vegas sports books, Micah Parsons is leading the odds.
Right.
In second place, Myles Garrett. And keep in mind, Myles Garrett just came off a 5-sack performance against the Patriots, which would be wonderful if it wasn't for the fact they lost 32-13.
Right.
Or 32-16, whatever the case is. It sucked. Anyway, after that is your guy, Aiden Hutchinson. Nick Bonito with the Broncos. I'm a fan, and I definitely think he's been underrated. Will Anderson of the Texans, and then rounding out the top 6 is Jared Verse. Overall, it's wide open. Any one of those guys can get this. So, and keep in mind, this is kind of the midseason thing where we're starting to see like every performance. Ooh, it affects this person's odds and this person's odds, and let's see how it goes. So, I'm looking forward to it. With all that said, it's about time to wrap it up here on Roundabout Sports, episode 150. And I want to especially thank you, AB, for being all the things you've done for I-70 so far, and will continue to do so. Hopefully, you don't get sick of me too much. And want to thank, of course, Babs in Hollywood, James Knox, for being co-hosts in the past with me here on the show. And I want to thank my friend Andrew for always being able to fill in and being a great guest co-host and just a great friend in general. I want to thank everyone for tuning in every week. I know starting at 6:30 is not Central Time is not always the most ideal. So for those of you that do tune in, it means a lot. And knowing that it goes up on all these other platforms later is amazing. This is something that means a lot to both of us, to a lot of us. And we're just glad that we can be a small part of your guys' day. Now, always remember that for the NAMI helpline, you can dial 1-800-950-NAMI. That is 1-800-950-NAMI. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots organization for people affected by mental illness, as well as the families involved as well. And of course, for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, you dial 988. The line is open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand you're never alone in this world. There is always somebody out there who loves you, who cares about you, who wants nothing but the best for you. We all go through our struggles, our trials, our tribulations every day in this world. And your feelings are always valid. But that doesn't mean that your journey has to be traveled alone. You are just a phone call, a text message, an appointment away from what could be that life-saving talk that you need. And you could also be the listening ears and watchful eyes for somebody else as well. I want to thank, once again, AB, as always. And until next week for episode 151, this is episode 150. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Karp, and remember, as always, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. Good night, everybody.